6-year-old Lily Sullivan should have been playing outside with her friends that morning. Her little brother Jack, only 4, should have been building toy towers, laughing, and asking endless questions the way curious children do. But instead of living a normal childhood, both of them vanished. No trace. No sound. Just silence. And here's the chilling part, not only did the search turn up almost nothing, but today, barely anyone is talking about them. Why is everyone silent about what happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan? And who benefits from that silence? Before we dive in, let me ask you for one thing. Please, like this video, share it so their story isn't buried, and subscribe so you don't miss updates. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because every voice, every share, every comment makes sure Lily and Jack are not forgotten. It was May 2nd, 2025. A cool spring morning in Lansdowne Station, a quiet rural community in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. The kind of place where neighbors still wave, where life feels slower, safer, or at least it should. At 10:01 a.m., that calm was shattered. A desperate 911 call came from inside a modest mobile home on Gearlock Road. On the other end of the line was Malaya Brooks Murray, the mother of 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack. Her words? Terrifying. She told dispatchers that her children had wandered off. That somehow, in the middle of an ordinary morning, they had slipped out of the house, and were gone. Within 26 minutes, police arrived. But by then, the silence had already settled in. No giggles. No footsteps. No signs of Lily or Jack. And this is where our story begins. A quiet home. A missing brother and sister. And questions that would spiral into one of the most unsettling mysteries this community has ever seen. Lily Sullivan was only 6 years old. Bright, playful, and full of the kind of energy that lights up a room. She loved pink. Her sweater, her pajamas, even her blanket carried that color of childhood comfort. Her little brother Jack was just 4. Still in pull-ups at night, still at that tender age where the world feels safe because your big sister is always nearby. He adored following Lily, often giggling with her in the mornings as they played before breakfast. These were not just missing children. They were 2 young lives, full of potential, full of innocence, ripped away in a single morning. But if you look closer, you start to notice warning signs, red flags that now seem impossible to ignore. The family was struggling. Money was tight. The stepfather, Daniel Martel, was known to have issues with drugs and control. Their home wasn't always stable, and whispers of neglect had floated around the community. And yet, despite these concerns, despite these signals that something wasn't right, no one could have imagined that Lily and Jack would simply vanish. The question is, did people miss the signs, or did they choose to stay silent? The morning of May 2nd began like any other, or so it seemed. Around 8 a.m., Malaya, the children's mother, remembers hearing Lily and Jack giggling from their bedroom. Their laughter carried through the small home, a sound of comfort, a sound of innocence. But by 9:40 a.m., that laughter was gone. Silence had replaced it. When Malaya went to check, their room was empty. The children, nowhere to be found. At 10:01 a.m., she placed the desperate 911 call. She told dispatchers her kids must have slipped out while she was dozing. Daniel, their stepfather, tried to explain how they could have gotten out. He pointed to the front door, where he had wedged a wrench the night before, his way of keeping the door secured against a bear. The wrench was still in place. So he assumed Lily and Jack had left through the back sliding door. But think about that for a moment. A wrench. As the only line of security with 2 small children in the house. And somehow, 2 kids managed to slip out unnoticed, within a narrow window of time. The last confirmed sighting of Lily and Jack outside their home wasn't even that morning. It was the day before, May 1st, at 2:25 p.m., caught on video at a Dollarama store, nearly 20 kilometers away. They had spent the day running errands with Malaya, Daniel, and their baby sister. The kids were seen alive, well, and normal. That night, Malaya admitted she tucked them into bed much later than usual, around 10 p.m. Still dressed in the same clothes they had worn all day. Lily in her pink sweater and Barbie top, Jack in sweatpants, a t-shirt, and a diaper. And by the next morning, they were gone. No forced entry. No clear trail. Just an empty room, and a wrench still in the door. When the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrived, they wasted no time. Within hours, Lansdowne Station was swarming with officers, volunteers, and specialized teams. Helicopters buzzed overhead. Drones scanned the dense woods. Search dogs were brought in. Volunteers scoured wells, old mine shafts, trails, and creeks. In total, more than 8.5 square kilometers were covered. On paper, it was one of the largest search efforts this region had ever seen. And yet, nothing. Not a single sign of Lily and Jack. But it wasn't just what they found, it was also what they failed to do. No Amber Alert was issued in those critical early hours. The family's statements, filled with inconsistencies, weren't aggressively challenged. And the reliance on polygraph tests, a tool many experts dismiss as unreliable, became central to ruling people out. On May 12, just 10 days after the children vanished, both Malaya and Daniel sat for polygraphs. Investigators later wrote that their results showed they were truthful. And in a stunning line from one officer's notes, the disappearance of Lily and Jack was not believed to be criminal in nature. But ask yourself, how can two young children vanish without a trace, and it not be considered criminal? The investigation, from the very beginning, seemed to waver between urgency and complacency. A community searched desperately. But behind closed doors, cracks in the case were already forming. The search did turn up some things. And those things were disturbing. On May 2, just hours after Lily and Jack vanished, relatives searching the woods made a haunting discovery: a piece of Lily's pink blanket, tangled high in the branches of a tree, nearly a full kilometer from the family's home. Later, another piece of that same blanket was found stuffed inside a trash bag at the end of the driveway. How does a child's comfort blanket end up in two different, unnatural places? It didn't stop there. On a nearby trail, investigators found boot prints. One of them matching a child's size 11, consistent with Lily's shoes. They also found a single sock, a scrap of purple fabric, and even scat, possibly human, possibly animal. And yet, when police dogs were brought in to track the children's scent near the blanket, nothing. No trace of Lily or Jack at the very place their belongings were found. Inside the home, strange details emerged too. The wrench used to secure the door. The late bedtime. The fact that Jack was still in a pull-up at 4 years old. None of these things are evidence of a crime on their own, but together, they raise troubling questions. And then there was testimony. Daniel, the stepfather, later claimed that while searching the woods, he heard a scream he swore sounded like Lily and Jack. But before he could react, the sound of a helicopter overhead drowned it out. A scream in the woods. A blanket in a tree. Footprints that lead nowhere. These weren't just random fragments. These were puzzle pieces that should have painted a picture. But instead, they only made the mystery darker. Silence. It's one of the most dangerous elements in any missing children case. And in the disappearance of Lily and Jack, it surrounds nearly every aspect of the investigation. Family members retreated from public view. Malaya left Lansdowne Station to stay with relatives, taking their youngest daughter, Meadow, with her. Daniel remained but offered only cryptic statements to the media: "They know my life inside and out." Authorities declared early on that the case was not believed to be criminal in nature, despite troubling evidence and unexplained anomalies. Investigators relied heavily on polygraphs, tests that, as experts know, can be manipulated. The media, too, grew silent after the first weeks of coverage. Stories dwindled. Updates were scarce. Public awareness faded. And here lies the danger. Everyday silence persists. Every moment the story is not told is a moment these children are forgotten by those who could help. Silence doesn't protect innocence. Silence protects the unknown, and sometimes the guilty. Lily and Jack are missing. And still, the quiet continues. As of today, the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan remains unresolved. The RCMP continue to classify it as an active investigation, yet no arrests have been made. No suspects have been publicly identified. 12 record access orders were filed, examining phone records, bank transactions, GPS data, and deleted apps, all in the hope of uncovering new leads. The community has provided over 740 tips and 9,300 videos, all reviewed by the Northeast Nova Major Crime Unit. And still, nothing concrete has emerged. Despite the volume of evidence collected and the number of volunteers who combed the area, the case remains baffling. No trace of Lily and Jack has been found in the woods, in nearby towns, or along major routes out of the province. Sightings are inconclusive. Reports of suspicious activity have gone nowhere. And the most haunting reality? The case is still considered not criminal in nature by authorities. Financial struggles, family tensions, and unusual household circumstances, details that could point to neglect or worse, have not led to formal charges. In short, the trail has gone cold, but questions remain. And the world, for the most part, has grown quiet. Lily was 6. Jack was 4. They should have been laughing in the sun, learning new things, discovering the world together. Instead, they vanished, leaving behind questions that remain unanswered to this day. Their story should not be forgotten. Their names should not fade into silence. You can make a difference. Share this video. Comment your thoughts and where you're watching from. Every share keeps their story alive. Every comment helps break the silence. And subscribe, so you never miss updates, so that Lily and Jack are remembered, not erased. Because silence is what allows mysteries to linger. Silence is what lets cases go cold. Silence is what leaves families in despair. Do not stay silent. Speak for Lily. Speak for Jack. And together, we can make sure the world does not forget.